Satnam. Hi, my name is GuruPrem Singh, and it's been my pleasure to be a student of Kundalini Yoga as taught by Yogi Bhajan for the last 44 years. And coming from a background of gymnastics, I always enjoyed exploring what the body could do. And when I was blessed with the opportunity to segue from gymnastics into the world of Kundalini Yoga, my exploration got more profound, deeper, and definitely more subtle. So we're going to begin this series of videos with sitting, something that's a big part of the meditation and yoga practice that we've been given this opportunity to learn. And one of the great impediments to new students is the discomfort with sitting on the floor. So the first thing I invite you to consider is the use of a sitting prop. And here's why. If you find yourself on the ground and possibly with your knees like this and sitting to the back of the sits bones, which is here, okay, as opposed to here, that compromise will in fact compromise your ability to enjoy sitting meditations, sitting exercises. So this is the one I might use, but you might consider using a bigger one depending on your limitations. So I'll show you from the side. Put that under here, and it's going to allow you to move much closer to the top of your sits bones. Okay? Okay. Now I'm going to come off these. The other thing to consider is what version of Sukhasana. Now, the word asana itself means comfortable seat. So if you're in this position, it may not seem very comfortable. And the whole art of this is to have a deep relationship with the depth of your being. It's been my experience that I relate to the depth of my being, the depth of my heart, where the source of virtue emanates from true. We could say the true heart giving birth to its many virtues, the kind heart, warm heart. But on a very physical level, the art and science of correct posture is how we support, hold, and use this heart center as a guide. In order to do that, we need a foundation. So our foundation will be down here. So for some of you, being able to access this may require a different version of Sukhasana, so that this comfortable seat may begin in this posture. So that's okay. It's a wider version of sitting. That's fine. Maybe you prefer to have your left foot in front. Well, that's fine too. But what will help all of this, if you take your hands, reach under your glutes, pull them aside so you can actually feel those sitting bones, because we want to be able to connect those with the earth. And having done that, just try rocking back and forth. It doesn't make much difference whether you're sitting like this or like this, whether your left leg is in front or right. If that's not easy to do, use your prop to sit up. I'm a fan of props for the learning and practice of Kundalini Yoga. If you can't naturally engage the various asanas, sometimes blocks may be very helpful. We'll get to that as we explore some of the many asanas later on. And other ones can be really helpful, but to a lesser degree is the strap. And I'll make you aware of that when we get to that as well. But for now, we're just dealing with our relationship to the earth. Just so you know, we are in a constant relationship with the core of the earth. Way down there where the matter is so dense, that's where the gravitational pull is the strongest. So we're being called by the earth's core. Fortunately, with our own core, we can have an appropriate response depending on the posture we are in. So for sitting, we get to use this lower belly, about halfway between your belly button and the pubic bone. And we use this with the pelvic floor. Now this is a a version, if you will, of Mula Bandha. It's not that strong unless specifically required. But for things like sitting, I use a small engagement down in here. Again, halfway between my belly button and the pubic bone. And I use this along with some pelvic floor support in order to set the sit bones in an efficient way so I can then hold up the heart. Okay, and this is going to be really important for freer breathing. Then I can hang my shoulders and level my head. Now, the great thing about all the postures we get to explore, we get to exaggerate many of these principles. And it's through exaggeration that we can begin to reveal naturalness. Because we all want to become natural yogis, but we're being asked to do seemingly unnatural things with our bodies in order to achieve this naturalness. So these are the tools. We're going to learn to use these tools and the geometry that supports them in an intelligent, constructive, and actually in a devotional way. And I'll explain that in greater detail later on. But for now, let's just talk about sitting with our heart up, our sit bones in a better place. And so what I mean by that is, I'm going to turn to the side again. What I mean is being able to come up. The art of coming up requires pushing down. So this is where we're going to use some of these lower core muscles in order to push down to come up. Over time, as your hips open up, that'll become easier. Again, if that's difficult, use a prop. Okay? At this point, you're now much more able to breathe. So we're going to just go right into that in this video. The breath, the sitting breath. Now, this is just a mindset that I like to use. I believe that our breaths are given to us. I have no idea how many I have left, but I've learned to gratefully receive the inhale, and I've also learned to devotionally offer the exhale. And to me, the highest form of devotion on an exhale can be the sacred mantras and the prayers, the pranayamas, and the coordination of breath and movement. So for right now, do this. You can even tap on your chest, okay? A little awareness. So our journey begins by inhaling down. What this is going to do, it's going to expand out the abdominal wall. Now, I learned a technique from singers where they call this pillowing the diaphragm. And that makes sense because as we do this, it opens up this diaphragmatic zone as the diaphragm muscle descends downward. It creates a vacuum where the air comes inward. Okay? But what I'm actually using to shape this, I'm using a little bit of creative tension down below because I don't want the inhale just to expand all the way down to the bottom, just most of the way down. And the reason is I want to use some of this tension to facilitate the opening of the back body. You know, we have this 12th and 11th thoracic ribs, neither of which are attached to your sternum. So that 12th rib, which is shorter, is pretty powerful if we learn how to use the muscles connected to it so that our inhale can begin to open us back here. And something you can practice on your own as I turn back. With your thumb, you can feel, if you do this well, that you can expand this and open this rib up down here. Inhale goes down, but it starts to open back here too. Now this is going to be of great advantage as we learn to do some of these postures to follow. As you inhale deeper, you'll open up the 11th rib, which causes this lateral expansion. Between the two, you're going to get this direction, and it's going to move up. But for now, let's just practice this. And I have a particular way of doing this and teaching. Imagine your inhale down, and for our purposes, exhale in and up. This is a relatively small breath. Inhale down, exhale up. So I'm using my hands to give this some guidance. Inhale down, and maybe you'll begin to experience the inhale moving into the lower, maybe mid-back. We don't need to bring it up any more than that for now. Inhale down, exhale up. You can close your eyes and even add our mantra. Inhale, Sat. You hear it. Exhale, Nam. Inhale, Sat. Exhale, Nam. Inhale, Sat. Exhale, Nam. Wonderful thing about breathing in this way, it will begin to facilitate an opening of the lower spine, and it will continue to assist in helping your hips open. And the reason is, as you learn to contract in the right place, you will have a predictable expansion. So learning to use this lower core, this contraction here will begin to create a proper expansion into your hips. And we'll be able to take advantage of that again with some of these other postures. So you can practice that on your own and begin to explore sitting up on your sits bones. Certain times we're going to learn to come in front of them. Certain times we'll go in back. The pelvis has a lot of leverage. And the art of learning to move freely from here is really the foundation for opening our bodies and ultimately our minds up to the space that breath and movement, mantra, devotion can bring. So practice up, Sat Nam, and I look forward to sharing the postures to follow.